Gender and identity. What is it? First, let's look at the differences between gender and sex. Your sex is determined by the organs you were born with: male, female, or intersex. Gender, on the other hand, is a pretense sense of being male or female. Your gender identity is your private understanding of your gender. Most people feel their gender matches their sex and fall into the respected male or female identities. We call this classification of sex and gender as two distinct options the binary, which you can think of as a sort of box, a societal concept. The gender box offers only two gender identities, male or female, and their genders must, according to the binary, match their sex. Thankfully, there is no box. In reality, gender is a spectrum, a continuum of identities. One may find that their gender does not match their sex, that they fall under more than one place under the spectrum, or that they don't identify with any part of it at all, as genderqueer people do. Bigender means some days one feels like a boy and other days one feels like and dresses like a girl, unlike gender fluid people who can move anywhere on the spectrum. Bigender people exist exclusively and simultaneously at two distinct points. Two genders, one body. They may move between these points daily, monthly, or even yearly. Bigender is one of many non-binary gender identities. Other identities include, but are not limited to, androgynous, transgender, gender fluid, and agender. To be androgynous means to exist in the middle of the gender spectrum, to identify as neither man or woman. Transgender is an umbrella term used to describe anyone and everyone whose gender does not match their biologically assigned sex. Families and friends of non-conformant people often wonder how to best respect and acknowledge these individuals in their lives. Here's some things to keep in mind. He, him, she, her, they, them are all examples of pronouns. They is neutral, and so is generally the preferred pronoun for many non-binary identities. Having said that, if you're confused about someone's gender identity, it is best to just go ahead and ask them. More often than not, people want to tell you what they go by, so long as you keep the conversation polite and respectful. Asking someone which pronoun they prefer is a good way of doing it. Demanding to know whether someone is a boy or a girl is not. Keep in mind that someone's preferred pronouns may also vary depending on context. For instance, on days where a bigender is presenting as male, it may be acceptable to use he. It is best to talk to people about it. That way you don't misgender anyone accidentally. If you want to play it safe though, they will always be acceptable and neutral. Pronouns are important for several reasons. They help validate one's identity in the company of others. They also keep one feeling confident, safe, and comfortable. If you're having trouble understanding pronouns, imagine you're a cisgender or gender-conforming man showing his masculinity, or a young woman on the night out with the girls. How would you feel if someone misgendered you? And while on gender stereotypes, never limit someone to who you think they are or should be. Both a heterosexual man with a face full of makeup and a female presenting as lesbian both have been shoved into the binary box. Remember, this is a boy, but this is also a boy. Also remember that gender identity has nothing to do with a person's sexual orientation, and that presentation does not either. For the genderqueer person, coming out is not only scary, it may be a difficult thing to explain to others. How does one go about saying that they are both a man and a woman, neither, or a combination of the two? Before coming out, many advise to educate those around them. They talk and teach others about the gender spectrum, the binary, and the reality that there are many genders, not just two. Though society views it as a shade of pink and blue, coming out for genderqueer people is often a lifelong process. Just like discovering your identity, it's not just simply one event or one statement. It is likely that genderqueer people will lose people along the way, and they will find themselves coming out over and over again in different situations. What society doesn't say is that another person's anger, disappointment, expectations are never the fault of genderqueer people. One should never apologize for being themselves.